Hello everyone, I am Bibek and you're watching Bibek Talks. So today we have RJ Singh sir. He's a very inspired and a man who has a really nice ethics and habit in his life. So he has created Ultra Habit and helping thousands of people to build down a good habit and break down some bad habits as well. So we welcome RJ Singh sir. How are you doing, sir?
I'm really well. Welcome from down under. I'm in Sydney, Australia, and it's the end of the workday. I'm in my boardroom, and I'm really happy to talk to you today.
Thank you so much, sir. That I like the excitement which you have today. So can we begin with your small introduction from your side, Ollie?
Yeah, for sure. So my real name is Ranjit Singh, but I grew up with the name RJ in the U.S., California. You know, many people can say my name, so I was given a nickname as a kid, RJ, and I grew up in California. And I came to Australia in 2008 in my mid 20s. So what I do in Australia is I'm a corporate director of a company called Cora, and we're a non-asset based logistics company. We're a disruptor in our market. We are disrupting the big freight and logistics providers with a more robust technology based solution. So that's my business. Now, I've also got Ultra Habits, which has been really a passion project on the back of a lot of my coaching and mentoring that I started about 6 months ago. It's really focused towards high performance and helping those that are on their executive journey, whether they're young, 16, 15, 20, 21, or they're already deep in the trenches running businesses or even retired. It's really a performance driven podcast, primarily focused at people that love business. Now, the guests that we have on the show range from professional athletes to ex-military, corporate executives, academics, from contributors from the Harvard Business Review. So we've got a real cross section of contributors to our podcast.
That sounds interesting. You already have a great business going on, but still you created Ultra Habit to help down people. I like that one. So what was the basic reason behind creating Ultra Habit?
Yeah, so I wasn't always a disciplined person. I grew up in California, young immigrant child, 3 years old. We went to California and I was always in trouble. I got caught up in drugs and alcohol at a really young age, lots and lots of trouble, very much moved against the flow of most of my Indian relatives and friends. We know Indians are typically quite academic, very, very school driven, listen to their parents. I wasn't doing any of that. So I was a very dysfunctional young person. And I ultimately moved to Australia with hopes of getting my act together, but things got worse because I thought moving would be the solution. I thought if it was new environment, new friends, new people, I would get better. I didn't realize that the problem was me, right? It wasn't the environment, it was me. And I came to Australia in 2 years, things started to fall apart. And look, long story short, I met a mentor in business who then I opened up to and told my story, and he and I developed a very close relationship. And he was a very high performer. The guy's extremely successful. He's built and sold a couple different businesses, and he was young. He thought I had lots of potential, and he told me, he said, "Look, get off the alcohol, get off the cigarettes, get healthy, and I'll help you in business." And that was in 2008, 2009. And my trajectory since then had been just upward. And a lot of that, when I started to reflect a couple years ago, was on the back of me creating a new identity, an identity that was more healthy. But what supported that new identity were habits. So habits were the lowest common denominator in my life, that on a moment to moment basis, if I engage the right habits, the right behaviors, the right micro decisions, they will impact they'll impact the bigger stuff. Does that make
Them
sense?
as a compounding, exactly. The small habits are
Mm,
compounding at a big result at the end.
mm,
Exactly. So that sounds
that's
interesting.
right.
You have a really hard
The
journey.
habits are interesting. Habits, Bibek, are interesting because they're not sexy, but they are directly in our control. That's why they are a superpower,
Exactly.
right? It's in my control if I can habituate myself to healthier, stronger, and better decisions. If I can control that next moment, the decision I make, that micro action, to your point, they compound. And at first you can't see that compounding effect, but over time you get the results and you start to trust that it's going to happen.
Exactly. The same is happening when you are building a good body. At the starting, you're not seeing any results in your biceps or triceps. But as the days pass on, at the month end or somewhere, you see some good results on yourself, the small results, and that motivates you more and more. Exactly. You're
That's
actually.
right.
So, what are the basic reason now? If you just look at the new generation, I am from the youngest, like I'm 18 right now. So, in my young age, people are getting addicted to drugs, alcoholic, and some bad habits, if we say. So, what are the common reasons do you think why that is happening? Mostly in this age.
Well, yeah, look, I'll be honest with you. This has been happening always. The
Okay.
medium changes, the type of drugs, video games, Fortnite. Back in my day, it was Nintendo, right? Now it's Fortnite. I mean, it's the same thing playing out in different ways. Okay, so that's the first thing to recognize. I'll answer it this way.
Okay.
A few years ago, I was at the airport in Sydney picking up my mom, who was coming from the US. And on the plane, there was a guy getting off the plane that I recognized.
Okay.
And he looked at me and I looked at him. And this is Sydney, right? I'm like, who? And then we realized we grew up together. So he was getting off the airplane that was coming from San Francisco, and we decided to catch up.
Okay.
Okay. And so we went out for dinner, and stay with me here. I'm answering your question, but I'm going to give it to you in an illustrative example.
Please.
And Eric and I went to all the same schools. He was a MIT graduate, a Columbia University graduate, and he worked for Lockheed Martin, which is a defense systems firm in the United States.
Okay.
And he was able in school from a very young age, he was able to navigate himself through school, even though we went to rough schools. There were lots of drugs, there were lots of distractions. He had the long view. He had a sense of self and a sense of purpose, and he was able to postpone gratification because he knew he had a strong vision on where he was going.
Exactly. Straight vision was there.
And he did not, he didn't get distracted. I didn't have any of that. I would move towards whatever pulled me towards it. That peer influence, the drugs, the alcohol. How can I be cool? How can I be liked? How can I get popularity? I had no sense of self. Now, the question then is, how does one get that centered at a young age?
Exactly.
Well, I believe there's different mechanisms. There's nurture, so how one is raised in a household, but there's a bit of biology too, right? So I think that, to answer your question, I think that those that can stay focused and develop their sense of purpose and vision young, and find what they love young, and have that development of character from family, parents, their influences young, are more likely to stay on a forward trajectory, and they won't get distracted. Okay. And so I would say, hopefully that's answered your question. I think exactly. The challenges to young people are the same. It's about the 18-year-old being able to identify their purpose and be passionate about their purpose and single-minded to the extent that my environment is not going to distract me from my primary purpose. You see,
Exactly.
that takes a strength of character, man,
Definitely.
to not do what everyone is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Exactly. It is actually making sense. I'm able to relate the things, whatever you're saying. It is strongly applicable to the new generation like me. Yes, I'll just take my example only. Why shall I take someone else? Before
Of
1 or 2
course.
years, like I did not have a such sense of humor that what I want to actually do, what I want to be, and what I want to grow up like. So suddenly I came across some people who, just make me the reality. They just made me to face to the reality that this is the life. You want to earn money, you have to take care of your family, you have to be good by yourself. No one is going to help you, no one is going to take care of you after you are 18 or 20. So that some of the words touched me a lot. That is the reason I started working on me. I started this YouTube channel as well, and many other things. So after the day, from that only, I have been started strict. There was no distraction at all because I got a path. So you're extremely right. The main reason is search a path for yourself. I'm strongly agree with this point.
So what is your purpose, Bibek? And you're young, so you don't know, but where are you at in that journey? What is it that you want to do? What is your primary purpose?
Okay.
That's the question. And that's really what we're working towards.
Definitely. I strongly agreed with this. I'm still in the search of the what is my primary purpose. But right now, I have some few of the purpose to fulfill in my life. The first one is graduate within a good skills rather than degrees and all. I need some good skills in 3 years of a universities so that I can get a good paying business or a job or whatever it looks like. And so these are the primary. And other than that, like I'm hustling to run my YouTube channel and my podcast, and these are the things which I'm doing right now, side by side. Yes, so this is what it looks like in my life right now. Hope it is going to
Yeah, for
improve
sure. That's
day by day.
good.
So coming back to the habits, what do you think, sir? What is the role of dopamine behind adopting a habit?
Yeah, that's a good question. So ultimately, dopamine can work for us or against us, right? Let's talk about a common example of dopamine. And can you hear me okay?
Yes, that's very much perfect. Please go for that.
Okay, right. Okay. So with dopamine, the technology and a lot of the technology that we're using today is designed to release dopamine when we use it, right? So, I got a fine the other day by the cops. The police gave me a ticket for using my phone. $500 ticket, right? And, because I've got a bad habit of touching my phone. And I wasn't using my phone, but they got it on camera. I'm touching it because I'm used to touching it. Why am I used to touching my phone? Why do I have to touch my phone every 2 minutes? It's because I've got this addiction and this dopamine release every time I check it and I got a message. So now I'm habituated to touching my phone all the time. So we can understand that in a negative context. It's then how do we actually use the creation of good habits to release dopamine in a good way, right? So ultimately, that means doing things that are producing optimal results, healthy results. I'm then getting a flood of dopamine. And then that dopamine creates a reaffirming effect for me to continue to engage in that behavior. It's a hack. It's how we hack our system, we hack our operating system. And so dopamine is our body's way of reaffirming that something is pleasurable and to keep doing it. The problem with that, not the problem, but the challenge is it may be negative or it may be positive.
Definitely.
And that's where we need to have the wherewithal, discipline, and structures to ensure that we're moving towards the activities that are giving us positive outcomes.
Exactly. Good dopamine, you can say.
Not smoking, not using drugs and stuff like that, right? Because we all know, that road and where that goes.
Extremely agreed with this point. Like That depends upon you. The dopamine is a good thing as well. It is keeping you motivated all the time. It is helping you to push yourself more. Because while I'm editing my videos, I get dopamine. So I can work 8 hours a day or 5 hours a day editing my videos whole day, because that is giving me a good dopamine. And at the end, I'm completing a video, uploading it into YouTube, and getting a good dopamine as well. But the same dopamine can track me towards some bad things as smoking and drinking. So that depends. Exactly, I'm agreed with this point, that depends upon you. How do you choose yourself to be? So, RJ sir, in this modern town, as you say, in modern era, like everything is giving us dopamine. My technologies or my environment is totally designed in such a way, which is releasing you quick dopamines. So that might lack of motivation is can be seen here in young generation. What do you think, and what are the reasons, and what can be cured? How to stay motivated, not all the time, but still most of the time. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so a lot of that is environmental. Let's talk about India.
Please.
And we have a highly competitive arena with lots of young people that are overeducated, a finite amount of jobs, and it is a struggle, right? And it's about, well, then you're caught up in the struggle right now.
Exactly.
And it's beautiful to watch a young man like yourself battling to create your way and create your space. And so the first thing is to fall in love with the struggle and realize that the work that you're doing, even when you may not see the immediate outcome, you're getting quicker, better, stronger, and faster. And you need to, and that's why I think it's very important that it's important to fall in love with the struggle to a degree, the hustle, right? Now, finding your hustle and what's relevant to you is also important, because that's what's going to keep you going when times are tough. It's about, how are you forming your identity? What do you see yourself as? Who do you see yourself as in the future? You're going to work towards that. Whatever and whoever you see yourself as in 4 years or 5 years, you will fulfill a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will work towards that.
Exactly.
Okay? And there needs to be a relentless pursuit daily towards that. Now, unfortunately, I don't believe that everyone has the passion or the will to fight that battle.
Exactly. You're right.
And I don't have an answer on how one actually lights their fire. I think people think they have answers. I think they're bullshitting. I think each person there has to be a spark there. There has to be a spark from within.
Exactly. Inside. It should be
right
there.
It's intrinsic, they say, not extrinsic. It has to come from within. Now, a lot of people, from inside. And once you have that, and you're right, you don't know right now where you're going to be in 4 years.
No,
that's perfect. Neither do I. I don't believe in these rigid goals, but intuitively you're working towards something. When you're doing your podcast, when you're doing your YouTube, you're hustling, you're studying, you have this trust and belief it's all going to come together.
Exactly.
And you're working towards a Bibek that you vision yourself to be in the future. Successful business owner, educated, you have skills, and you're doing what you need to every day. Now, some people are lazy. I've realized that you can't motivate everyone.
No, that's impossible.
You can't. And you know what? It may be that individual hasn't found what moves them yet. Everyone has to find what moves them.
Exactly.
And then once you find what
they need to find that what is pushing them, ahead, rather than pulling them down.
Yeah, and you know what? I think, you know, I hired an Indian student out of you know, I did an MBA, an executive MBA, and there was a full-time MBA program, and
Mhm.
there was an Indian student who was an engineer from the south of India, and
Okay.
he couldn't get a job because he's, you know, maybe, you know, he was an engineer, he got his MBA, whatever. I hired him, $20 an hour part-time. You know, now the guy owns, you know, we're talking about in 2015.
Okay.
Now he owns two houses. Him and his wife are high six figures, and they've got two kids. We're best of friends. He works in the government. Why did he get there? Yes, I gave him an opportunity. He took that opportunity and he drove it. He drove it. Absolute relentlessness. And I was very hard on him. We worked all the time, 16, 17, 18-hour days, man. We grinded, but he was hungry and he wanted it.
And he was doing
And,
that.
you know, and he's doing it. And the thing about it, you know, a lot of it is environmental. You know, you come from an environment where there's lots of competition. You've got the desire, you're hungry. Everyone's smart, man, but it's about who's willing to take it to that next level. And when you know you're willing to go to the end, that's a very good place to be. Then you start to set up the structures and habits and behaviors and attitudes that support that.
Mhm. Definitely. So I'll just like to highlight the statement which you told a few minutes ago, that you need to be motivated from inside rather than outside. So if we just look at the generation or the people right now, I'm taking the reference of India. You can see thousands of YouTube channels which are running with same motivational videos again and again, with having 20, 30 millions of views and, subscribers. So, so this by this we can take a reference that people are getting motivated by externally nowadays more, which is wrong, which is absolutely wrong. What do you think about
Yeah.
this?
So, yeah, that's a very interesting comment. So, David Goggins, he says something that's very true. He says, and this happens as you get older, I think, be your own hero, right? Like, you know, it's great to look at external stimulus
Okay.
and use it as a roadmap, right? So I may look at men that are in their 50s. I'm in my late 30s. I may look at men in their 50s and see their journey, and it provides a bit of a roadmap for me, right?
Exactly.
But I don't need that. I'm not the motivational video guy. Like, I don't use that. Like, for me, motivation is short, commitment is long. I'm committed, right? And, you know, to your point, I find it interesting because my especially with the Indian population, I'm Indian.
Okay.
And I've got a brand that's very alpha. It's a
Okay.
very alpha orientated brand. And I said to my branding strategist that I want to take Ultra Habits to India because I think that Indians are smart, they work hard.
Definitely.
I think because of colonialism, it's made it's and working with Indians here in Australia, I've seen them subjugate themselves when they shouldn't, right? When the work ethic's there, the brains are there, and they can kill it. And I was thinking to myself, it's interesting your comment, because I thought the pedigree in India is already there.
Definitely it is.
You know, I look at the young Indian guy that I hired, Chandra. He had everything. He had the mechanisms of an alpha mindset. He just didn't know it. He didn't know it. And I'm
Exactly.
sure there's a billion other Indians in India, the same mindset.
Exactly. They
Right.
don't have
And so,
came across, they have never came across the face to face the things they have.
yeah. And so I've thought about that and I've seen that, and I think that, it's not just an Indian problem. I think everyone watches motivational videos, they get inspired for 2 minutes, but tomorrow when it's 4 in the morning and you need to get up, are you going to get out of bed?
No, they're not getting up.
That's the question, right?
Exactly. I'm
Mm.
getting at the points. Exactly. You're extremely, I guess you have a good, sense of humor. Still you're in America or Australia, but still you have the knowledge about India. And I like that one. So if
Well,
I
I have an interest in India because as I'm getting older,
Mhm.
I've got family still in India, but we're so many generations removed. It's weird, right? You go to the village and you realize you're related to people. You
Hmm.
look the same, but you have no commonality.
Exactly.
And when you sit with Indians and you understand the work ethic, the drive, there's so much potential there. The computing power. I must be the only Indian that's not good with maths.
Same here. I'm also not so good at maths, and I don't know why
Right.
that is happening with me. But still,
Oh, people are
I
like,
would
man,
say,
you're Indian.
going towards your Instagram profile, I found, you're very much passionate about your family. So can I take your family as your center of motivation? What do you think?
Yeah, so family is very, very important to me. I will not sacrifice my family I will not sacrifice my drive and ambition at the expense of my family. And I view that's why our logo with Ultra Habits is, yes, it's embrace your alpha, but it's also redefining what an alpha male is. It's not the male that's aggressive and destroys and conquers. It's being an alpha male that likes to compete, likes to create, likes to win, but also can, play with dolls with your daughter, you
Definitely.
know, uh, listen to your wife, change
Hmm.
change nappies, wash dishes. When I get home tonight, I'm going to be doing dishes. I'm going to be changing, and that's partly because times are also changing too. The role of the man needs to change, and the mindset of a man needs to change. But my family's huge in terms of my son, my daughter, my wife. um, I try to integrate everything where there's harmonious
Exactly.
integration across all areas of my life. Yeah.
Hmm. Yes, I can see that very clearly in your Instagram profile, how friendly and how loving and caring nature you had with your family members. I like that. So, what are the
Yeah.
tips and what are the suggestions you like to give to the Indians, if I just take the reference of Indian young like me, to build up habit and go
Yeah.
towards a straight path, like an alpha man, you can say?
Yeah. The key is, and I would say, I'll say, I'll put it with an Indian flavor because I'll take the Indian climate into consideration, which is different if I'm talking to a 16-year-old in Australia, right?
That's different.
You know, you live in a country that is packed, lots of people. There's challenges right now with COVID. Things are hard. It's also hard to potentially find your voice with so many people, right?
Definitely.
But I think the key is to become self-determined in the view that you are going to find a way to build skills, find the skills within a domain that you love that is going to help you transform your situation.
Exactly.
And that means accumulation of wealth. It means stability. It may mean leaving India if you want, but you're going to want to become very, very focused on what are the skills? Where do I need to get them? Who do I need to hang around?
Exactly.
And get passionate about that, passionate about purpose. And then from there, start to create the structures and discipline to move towards that relentlessly. And I think that in itself will start to create a network around you of positive people, people that are like-minded, that will keep you on that trajectory. You'll start to build an identity. I think identity is very important,
That's very
Bibek,
important.
with habits,
Exactly.
because your habits will take you as far as your sense of self allows you to.
Hmm. I'm
You
agree.
see, your habits support that sense of identity. So Bibek, the 18-year-old in front of me, sees himself as India's biggest YouTuber on personal development by the year of 2025.
Hmm.
You will relentlessly pursue that. As you start to get the positive feedback, you will start to build that identity, and you will start
Exactly.
to fulfill that identity
Hmm.
through your activities, through how you conduct yourself, your habits, all that, right? So I think there's a lot in that, there's a lot in that. And I think also with Indians,
Exactly.
be
I.
assertive,
Hmm.
be assertive, assert yourself towards your goals, and don't be afraid to tell people what you want and go out and get it.
Exactly. And that is the biggest mistake, I guess, the Indian students and young people are doing. They're not searching for the opportunities, and, they're not introspecting themselves and looking inside what actually they need from the society or from themselves. Exactly. So, sir, listening to you and talking with you, I guess you're beyond my thinking. According to you, looking at you and this podcast, the thinking was only around the habits and all. But listening to you, the circle has to be big. So I'll just like to move towards the communication skills. What do you think about this? How important, to be an alpha man, if you say, how important communication skills are?
Communication is it's a very good question.
Hmm.
It is huge. So the way you frame something, and when I mean frame, the way you convey something, the way that you position a statement, the way I'm framing what I'm saying to you right now, it's coming to you as strong, decisive,
Hmm.
and authoritative. That's important,
Exactly.
right? Because ultimately, what people are looking for, especially in the business world, they're looking for confidence. Customers, potential employers, everyone is looking for confidence. They're looking to get certainty from
Hmm.
you. And so your ability to convey certainty is absolutely paramount. It's super important. And that's why it's really important for Indian young people that see themselves on a global stage.
Hmm.
You're doing really well. You're doing podcasting, you're talking to people from all over the world. You are stretching yourself beyond your comfort areas. And
Exactly.
within 2 years, your communication skills are going to be absolutely unrecognizable from where you're at today,
Thank you.
right?
Hmm.
And if I look at Chandra, who worked with me, the kid I hired,
Hmm.
he he can banter. He can make fun of people. He can let people make fun of him. He's quick. He's witted. All this is happening, and he's assimilating, and he's able to communicate. And especially for an Indian that is looking to make it on the global stage,
Hmm.
one of the things that a young Indian person is going to have to work through is biases. People are biased.
Okay.
Um, the cultural differences, all that stuff, and their ability to communicate is going to be huge,
Mm.
huge determinant in their ability to be successful in India or out of India, especially.
Definitely, the things which you're saying, I guess, that are very highly related to the society and the Indian society mostly. I like that one. So, RJ sir, I don't like to take you much time, but I have a small and end up with one question. Like people say that rather than putting a goal, you set up a good habit, rather than setting a goal, set up a good habit on your day-to-day base. So that will help you to achieve your goal sooner. What do you think about this?
Look, I think I've never set up specific goals. I know people talk about having SMART goals, specific, measurable, goals that people write them on their wall and they look at them every morning. I've never done that. I've always moved towards a trajectory and used my instinct to guide me towards where I'm going. And yes, I focused more on the minutia, the detail, the habits. And so I think that, sorry?
The present situation,
Sorry?
You're looking at the present rather than just dreaming about the future.
Well, yeah. Yes, I'm more orientated towards action than planning anyway. I'm more impulsive. So it's a gift in a way that I'll never wait for circumstances to be perfect. I'll act. But I think one of the things that people can do is if they want to start to change their day, start to seize the morning. That's the very first thing you can do. Get up very early.
Okay.
And start to do more while people are sleeping.
Definitely.
Journal, meditate, work. The world is quiet. Start to do more in the morning. If you can start to become a morning person and regimented in the morning, wake up, you can do your prayer, meditation, make your bed always in the morning if you can, and start to work and focus on productivity in the morning. That's where it all starts.
Exactly.
Really,
Small
that's the
matter.
Correct. Yeah, and preparation.
Yeah, definitely. Strongly agreed with this point. The small things are gonna always matter in your life. There was a podcast I was listening where an army chief of India was saying that when you get up early, just get up early. That is a key point of Indian Army. But as soon as you get up, just make the bed. Because when you completely clean your bed or your room, the first task of your day has been achieved. So that will give you a force or push you to do more, to achieve
it's
more.
It's a dopamine release.
Exactly, a kind of dopamine release. Exactly. A good dopamine has been released.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, exactly. Yeah. So I was just connecting your words and that podcast words, and I found equivalent, you can say.
Yeah.
So, thank you, RJ sir. Would you like to conclude more about this podcast, or shall we end up? What do you think?
Yeah, look, your listeners and guests can find me at Ultra Habits, ultrahabits.co. And I go on Instagram a little bit. I'm more on LinkedIn because I'm an executive. Anyone can reach out to me. I'm always open to hearing from my folks from India. Any questions or anything like that, ultrahabits.co. All the podcasts are there. You can communicate with me there. Exactly. But yeah, like I said, really open to any engagement, whatever. You come and we can always talk.
Definitely. So I will be linking down the Ultra Habit Go in the description and your Instagram as well. So anyone can reach out to us and he can help you if he is able to help you. So this is the ending of the podcast. Thank you for listening. And that was really nice talking with you, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Take care, Bibek.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, brother. Take care, man.
Okay, so I will be ending up it right now. Thank you so much.